Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 1:07 p.m. on, don't know what today is, I think it's Tuesday, the 4th of August 2026. If it's Tuesday, I've got to put my rubbish out for the garbage collection tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday. Anyway, the time is 1:07 p.m. I'm a bit tired. I've been working on my little tiny moulds I bought, pressing silver clay into it. I only used half the quantity of silver clay I bought quite a long time ago. It's very expensive. So about $80 worth of silver clay has gone into those little moulds, and I'm not sure they're going to turn out, so I may have wasted $80. It's a bit of a gamble sometimes. So I'm stressing about that, but look, you know what? The last time I made something with silver clay, there was no wastage, and I managed to make a pendant for one of my friends in the bands. So, I'm being a worrywart and full of anxiety and stressing myself out on my girls about nothing really, as I do. But yeah, I feel a bit worn out today. I'm a bit blah. Today's not a good day mentally for me, but shit happens. It's a glorious day out in the garden with my kookaburra friends. My cup runneth over, and I'm sitting right beside my birdie boys, who are very happy. I only just put them out in the garden about an hour or so ago, so we're making the most of the sunshine. Might have to move them in the shade again, but anyway, we're making the most of each day is what I'm saying, people of Earth. Anyway, next door they're having all the asbestos removal, and they've got special masks and coveralls. I'm actually a bit worried about the exposure to me and the birdies, to be honest. Probably being outside today is not a good day, but you've got to live your life, don't you? Got to live your best life. So we continue on with reading Beaming Down, which I think was chapter 5, if I recall correctly. Yes, chapter 5, and this will be part 2 because I broke it up yesterday. I really am dealing with a fair bit of fatigue lately. I don't know whether it's because I've been so busy making things, or whether it's connected to my tooth, or whether it's just winter blues. But I get very I get depression in winter. But I mean, I shouldn't be depressed for this glorious weather. So I think it's just probably combination of everything really. But I've been pushing myself very hard, and I'm very happy with all the lovely things I've achieved, and I'll be very excited if those little moulds take out, because they're teeny tiny goldfish and shells, and what was the other thing I made? Yeah, teeny tiny goldfish, which I think would look cool as earrings, quite frankly. But I'm going to try and solder them onto my mermaid that I finished re-engraving yesterday. It's a spoon, so I'm going to have all around the edges little sea creatures to go with the mermaid. If it turns out, I'll be bloody wrapped, people of Earth. But it's a fair bit of work, fiddly work. I ended up covered in silver clay, so I made a little pot of water to soak it all into, try and make a bit of a paste from the leftovers, make that money stretch, people of Earth. But anyway, let us continue on with part 2 of chapter 5, Beaming Down. Where have all the bullets gone? 1985, which was the year my daughter Crystal was born. Towards the end of the year in November. Return to Italy. Most of Volume 5 of Milligan's war memoirs covered his convalescence after the incident at Castle Fort, but he also relates his first meetings with band leader Bill Hall, as well as one gunner H. Seacombe. Harry Seacombe was a famous British comedian. Right. I need to trim back that lime tree. It's overgrown. It's going to be another big job. Right. The morning of November the 2nd dawns. A hurrying RTO sergeant proceeds down the corridor. Maddaloni in 15 minutes. Familiar landscape is in view. The hills behind Caserta are light and dark in the morning sun. We wipe the steamed windows to see it. I've had breakfast. 2 boiled eggs, boiled bread and boiled tea. How come the Continentals can't make tea? If this is tea, bring me coffee. If this is coffee, bring me tea. The Italian waiter says they don't go much on tea. I tell him if they did, it would make it stronger. The black giant locomotive groans and hisses to a clanking, steaming halt. There's a long, shuddering final hiss as the steam leaches out, like a giant cart horse about to die. We all climb down onto the tracks. A few thank the unshaven, smoke-blackened driver. There's a clutch of lorries waiting. They are dead on time. Now the war's over. The army's getting it together. Wearily we clamber on board and arrive at Alexander Barracks as the town is coming to life. Shagged out cats are heading for home, and the odd early morning dog sits on the cold pavement, freezing his bum and scratching away the night fleas. Wake up, Stephen. I shake the sleeping you. Wake up. God's in his heaven. All's right with the world. Piss off, he says, without opening his eyes. Wake up, Steve, my old friend. It's me, Sonny Spike Milligan, back from foreign shores with a tale to tell. He raises his lovely head, squints, groans, and lets his head fall back with a thud. Go away, Milligan. Go a long way away. Take a known poison and only come back when you're dead. Be careful what you wish for. It's been known to happen, people of Earth. What did I say? Extra large, medium at large. I take his eating irons and bring him his breakfast. This thaws him out. Breakfast in bed, he says, sitting up, pulling strings that raise the mosquito net, empty the pot, release his shirt, loosen his pyjamas, bring his socks, raise his vest, lower his comb, push his boots. So what was England like? It's like 1939 with bomb craters and fruitcake, and there's a lot of it about. I should know. I'm just recovering. Back into the office grind. What news? During the absence of the band on leave, entertainment has come to a halt. Redivivus. We've got to go to a spot on the variety bill this Monday. Stan Britton welcomes me back. They want something funny and musical. How about Ave Maria naked and gumboots filled with custard? No? Then Your Tiny Hand is Frozen, sung from inside a fridge through the keyhole. No? Why am I wasting time on this man when I could be wasting it on a woman in Sandwich? Shock horror, etc. and other headlines. I was to get the chop, not the leg of lamb or the kidney, but the chop, while I was helping the women of England get back to normal in Sandwich. Brigadier Henry Woods has decided that either I go or he stays. Bombardier Milligan S 954024, with effect from November the umpteenth. The above will be posted to the CPA Welfare Department, Naples. Signed H. Woods, Brigadier and Midget. So he was the coloured gentleman in the wood pile. I swore I would never go to the pictures with him again. He died a few years ago. I wish him well. Why was he persecuting me like this? My only crime was my only crime. Still, like cold collation, I could take it. I had letters to that effect from several serving women. The papers should hear of this. Daily Mirror. Ace filing clerk to be axed, shock horror, etc. Today, Bombardier Milligan, the world-renowned corporal with 3 stripes, and known throughout the Italian theatre of war as the most advanced filing clerk in the British Army, heard that he was to be sacked. Reuter. The band boys tried to commiserate with me. We had a last jam session in the band room and rounded off with a great piss-up. I was carried to my room for the last time. A new life and a new dawn. A truck is waiting to take me away. How many times have I done this? Yet again the kit is piled in the back, and like a sheep to market, I am driven away, all on the whim of one man who thought I played my trumpet too loud. I am puzzling over what CPA means. Captain's personal assistant, cracked people's area, clever private's annex. None of these, says the driver. It's Central Pool of Artists. Central Pool of Artists. Hilarious. It's a place where all downgraded squaddies who can entertain are sent. Was he a downgraded entertainer? Yeah. What do you do? Hoisting opera. Opera? Yeah. You know, La Bombe, Traviata and the like. Were you trained? Now, it come natural like. Have you ever hung... Sorry. Have you ever sung an opera natural like? No, I have just done the auditions like. The captain says he's waiting for a suitable vehicle for me. Like a bus, I thought. We have driven through Naples, turned left at the bottom of Via Roma, up the Corso San Antonio, which goes on forever in an eastern direction. Finally, we arrive at a broken-down army barracks complex. The walls are peeling. They look as if they have mange. I report look like my fucking house, which they refuse to paint. It's getting very manky and mangy indeed. What can I do about it? Nothing. Maybe join the opera, which I would if I could sing. Right. Kuranda Department of Housing. Cheap and nasty. Well, anyway, I'm over it. Some days I'm over it. Some days I'm just on the brink of going to war. I can actually go over their heads, you know. I can write to the federal government, put in a formal complaint about how they let this house deteriorate and turn into squalor. But they don't care because they're just waiting for me to die so they can bulldoze it and remove the asbestos like they're doing next door and put some giant echoing mausoleum up in its place. Oh. I report to a Captain Philip Ridgway, a sallow, saturnine fellow with a Ronald Coleman moustache who looks as if he has mange as well. He sits behind the desk with his hat on. He is the son of the famous Ridgway's Late Joy's Review that led to the Players' Theatre. He looks at my papers. So, you play the trumpet. Do you play it well? Well, loudly. Do you read music? Yes. And the Daily Herald? He smiled. He would find me a place in one of our orchestras. I was taken by a Corporal Grom, who looked like an unflushed lavatory, and shown to a billet on the first floor, a room with 40 single beds around the walls. In them were 40 single men. This being Sunday, they were of a religious order that kept them in kit until midday. I drop my kit on a vacant bed and it collapses to the floor. That's why it's vacant, laughed Corporal Gron, who laughed when babies fell under buses. Next bed is Private Graham Barlow. He helps me repair the bed with some string and money. Nice man. He played the accordion. Noel Coward said, "No gentleman would ever play the accordion." My sister used to play the accordion. She was no gentleman either. Oh, did she put on the airs and graces though? Oh, even talking in a very posh voice, acting quite the lady. But you know how it goes, people. If you have to be a performative narcissist all your life, it's a bit fucking sad. What did she once tell me? A mind is a terrible thing to waste. So is faking your entire existence until the day you die, people of Earth. Crazy, distorted motherfuckers. That's what I was raised by. Crazy, distorted, predatorial mother and daughter fuckers. Sad but true. Anyway, on we go and on we go. I had no job as such, and as such I had no job. Breakfast was at 8:30, no parade, hang around, lunch, hang further around, tea, extended hanging around, dinner and bed. The CPA complex had the same ground plan as the Palace of Minos at Knossos, consisting of rehearsal rooms, music stores, costume stores, scenery, dock and painting area, wardrobe mistress, executive officers. Spirit, you can stop yelling at me to forgive, because I have no intention of doing that. Not ever, not on your Nelly, not till the day I exit stage left on this mortal coil. I have something none of them have, a very clear conscience. It's my superpower and a well-curated gift, I might add. People went in and were never seen again. The company was assembled from soldier artistes who had been downgraded. Yes, Kermie, downgraded, like they tried to downgrade your mother. Well, they can all fuck off, can't they, Kermie? Indeed they can, he says. They would be formed into concert parties and sent on tour to entertain those Tommies who weren't downgraded. The blind leading the blind. The facilities were primitive. The lavatories were a line of holes in the ground. When I saw 18 soldiers squatting and or balancing over black holes with straining, sweating faces for the first time, they looked like the start of the 100 yards for paraplegic dwarfs. My first step to fame came when I borrowed a guitar from the stores. I was playing in the rehearsal room when a tall, cadaverous gunner said, "You play the guitar then?" It was Bill Hall. If you've ever seen a picture of Niccolo Paganini, this was his double. What's more, he played the violin and played it superbly. Be it a Max Bruch concerto or I've Got Rhythm, he was a virtuoso, but bloody scruffy. We teamed up just for the fun of it, and in turn we were joined by Johnny Mulgrew, a short Scots lad from the Recce Corps. I got there in the end, people of Earth. My mind is not only wasted, but a wastrel and goes wandering. As he left them, they were even shorter of Scots. Curriculum vitae. Pre-war, he played for Ambrose in the Inland Revenue. In the 56 Recce in North Africa. Trapped behind enemy lines at Majez al-Bab. Lay doggo for 48 hours in freezing weather. Got pneumonia. Downgraded to B2. Together we sounded like Le Hot Club de France. When we played, other musicians would come and listen to us. A compliment. And it wasn't long before we were lined up for a show. In the filling time, I used to play the trumpet in a scratch combination. It led to my meeting with someone from Mars, Gunnar Seacombe, H, singer and lunatic, a little myopic blubber of fat from Wales who had been pronounced a loony after a direct hit by an 88mm gun in North Africa. He was asleep at the time and didn't know about it till he woke up. General Montgomery saw him and nearly surrendered. He spoke like a speeded-up record. No one understood him. He didn't even understand himself. In fact, 40 years later, he was knighted for not being understood. Well, they're not fussy who they knight, are they? The monarchy. They knighted, genociders like Jacinta Ardern and all the other dirty motherfuckers. They got knighted instead of getting knotted. What is wrong with that picture? Curious minds would like to know. Ah, yes. wasted curious minds. Not wasted, just well aware of the ignominy that is perpetuated from the very top of the elite echelons of society right down to the scurrilous toe-sucking bottom. Right. The Officers' Club, Naples. We were playing for dancing and cabaret, the latter being the lunatic Seacombe. His music consisted of some tatty bits of paper, 2 parts, one for the drums and one for the piano. The rest of us had to guess. We bussed him on with, "I'm just wild about Harry." He told us he had chosen it because his name was Harry, and we said how clever he was. He rushed on, chattering, screaming, farting, sweat pouring off him like a monsoon, and officers moved their chairs back. Then the thing started to shave itself, screaming, chattering, and farting. He spoke at high speed. The audience thought he was an imported Polish comic, and many wished he was back in Warsaw being bombed. Shaving soap and hairs flew in all directions. Then he launched into a screaming duet with himself, Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald, but you couldn't tell them apart. A few cries of, "Hi up!" and a few more soapy farts, and he's gone, leaving the dance floor smothered in shaving soap. His wasn't an act, it was an interruption. The dance continues and officers are going arse over tit in dozens. "No, not him," they'd say when Seacombe's name came up for a cabaret. Bill Hall, a law unto himself. He ignored all army discipline. He ignored all civilian discipline. His regiment had despaired of him and posted him to CPA with an apology note. Take kit parade. We are all in our beds, kit immaculately laid out for inspection. The orderly officer reaches Gunner Hall. There, on an ill-made bed, where there should be 19 items of army apparel, are a pair of socks, 3 jackknives, a vest, a mess tin, and a fork. The officer looks at the layout. He puts his glasses on. Officer, where is the rest of your kit? Gunner Hall. It's on holiday, sir. Apart from Gunner Seacombe, CPA contained other stars to be, including Norman Vaughan, Ken Platt and Les Henry, who later formed the 3 Monarchs. Probably knighted himself in that case. There were, of course, failures. Private Dick Scratcher, downgraded with flat feet, was billed as the Great Zol, the Voltage King. He was given a tryout at the now recovering Officers' Club, as that consisted of a death throne made out of wood, cardboard and silver paper with a surround of light bulbs. On a sign above was a warning, "Danger, 1 million volts." The Great Zol entered as a sultan, with a turban that looked more like a badly bandaged head, and struck a gong, which was a dustbin lid painted with cheap silver paint. With its edge cut off, it gave a flat clank. He was assisted by the driver and/or opera singer, clad in a loincloth, his body stained brown with boot polish. The Sultan would be strapped into the chair with silver straps, telling us all the while in Chinese with a North Country accent, "Chop, chop, my assistant Tongbing now strap me in death chair and throw switch and send million volts through my body. Tongbing then chants some mindless tune which has nothing to do with the tune we are playing. Various bulbs go on and off as the great switch is thrown. The voltage meter goes up and down. The great soul speaks. By power of to mind, I will resist the power of to electricity. He stared into space. Then magnesium flashes go off and fill the club with choking smoke. The final magnesium flash has been placed too near the great soul. It sets fire to his trousers. Tongbing is trying to beat it out, and the room is filled with watery-eyed coughing officers trying to escape. Two very happy preening birdies in here, preening away, all down the length of their feathers. Oh, it's lovely in the garden, isn't it? Oh, the sun's gone though. We've lost the sun, boys. We'll have to chase the feckin' sunshine. Dick Scratcher's name went down next to Seacombe's in the Never Again list. After the war, Harry was appearing at the Palladium and was visited by the great soul and his wife. Harry noticed that the woman's legs and arms were bandaged. I've changed the act, says the great soul. I'm into knife throwing. Doesn't sound like he's very bloody good at that either. Things you put up with though, isn't it? It's all a bit mad when you think about it. I'd rather be a knife thrower than a knife catcher, just saying. The best pianist in the CPA was Johnny Bornheim. Late nights he would play in the rehearsal room with a bottle of wine as company. Bornheim was a furrier in Civvy Street. That should have been a concert pianist. Self-taught, he could literally play anything. He was fascinated with Bill Hall. He once pointed out, no one has ever seen Bill Hall's body alive. True, he only showered after dark and likewise never took his clothes off with the light on. Was he hiding something? We decided to raid Bill Hall's body. In darkness we waited by his bed. Comes 0200 hours. Bill shuffles in. He is undressing. He is down to his shirt and socks. Before he can enter his pit, we signal the lights on and six of us seize him, remove his remaining garments, and hold him down naked, struggling and swearing. I hold a clipboard with an anatomical list. Bornheim goes to work with a stick. He starts at the top. Head 1 with stray hairs attached plus dandruff. Check. Ear rolls and wax 2. And wax 2. That should have sounded like. Check. Neck scrawny with Adam's apple. 1. Check. Chest sunken with stray hairs. 1. Check. You bastards! He is yelling and struggling. Legs thin with lumps on knees. 2. Check. Chopper with foreskin attached. 1. Check. We released him and he chased us, hurling his and other people's boots. A drunken Seacombe enters, sees the naked wraith, embraces him. My, you're looking lovely in the moonlight, Amanda. Amanda says, piss off. Hall has to fight off the insane raspberrying Welshman. If only his queen could have seen him that night, indeed. As to Trooper Johnny Mulgrew of Glasgow, he had a wicked sense of humour. His idea of a joke was a huge beaming woman in a wheelchair being pushed through Hyde Park by a dying cripple. Always good for a laugh. Over the Page. This was the show that launched the Bill Hall Trio. It was the brainchild of Captain Hector Ross, whose play Men in Shadow I had destroyed at Maddaloni. It was sheer luck. One of the acts for Over the Page had withdrawn at the last moment, a sort of theatrical coitus interruptus. Could the trio fill in? Yes. I knew that just playing jazz never was a winner, so I persuaded the wardrobe to give us the worst ragged costumes we could find. I worked out some patter and introductions. I never dreamed we would be anything more than just another act. The set for Over the Page was a huge book. The artistes were a mixture of Italian professionals and soldier amateurs. Monday, December 6th, 1945, the show opened at the Bellini Theatre to a packed house. We were one incredible hit. When we came off, we were stunned. I couldn't believe that of all that talent out there, we had topped the lot. After the show, a Lieutenant Reg O'List of CPA came backstage. He had been a singer at the Windmill in London, which was rather like being a blood donor in a mortuary. He thinks we're great. Can he take us to dinner? God, we're in the big time already. Off the Via Roma is a wonderful pasta restaurant. We'll love it. Great. Lieutenant O'List does it in style. We go in a horse-drawn carriage. Bill Hall plays his violin as we drift down the Via Roma. Wow, life is good. The restaurant is all one can dream of. The waiters wear white aprons. The tables have red and white check cloths. It's written clothes, but I think he means cloths. There's an oil lamp on every table, a mandolin band playing. As soon as we enter, the waiters sweep us up in a cushion of hospitality. Si, accommodo, accommodo. A bottle of wine with the manager's compliments. Thank you very much with our compliments. Giddy with success and a free dinner, we eat a mountain of spaghetti. Reg O'List can't stop telling us how good we are, and we can't stop agreeing with him. He can't believe we are just the result of a chance meeting in a barrack room. Can we play some jazz after dinner? Yes. Hey, I know. Why don't we put on a show? Etc. The customers stop eating. They cheer and clap. Encore, encore. Free wine is slopping out of us. Enough is enough. Reg O'List is now very pissed. He will do his windmill act. He starts to sing Begin the Begin. He has a powerful, shivery, square voice. If he's from the windmill, says Gunner Hall, why doesn't he take his clothes off? The night ends with Bill Hall splitting away from us. The last sight we had of him was on a tram playing opera to adoring passengers. What a night! It would lead us slowly down the road to oblivion. The Mirror Running, 1987. Memory of North Africa, 1943. Gone away is the morning, its teasing light, the lit of the fire, the burn of its bright, the chill of the dawning, the pass of the night, the seeing of bombers passing from sight, the stirring of gun teams standing down, last stag, the rummaging down in your old kit bag, the first morning brew in the kerosene tin, the waft of the tea as the compo goes in. Gone away is the morning, the volley of guns. Gone away the eye-ties, gone away the Huns. Monkenhurst, June 1985. Peacework, 1991. Germany won. The war is over, and Milligan and his colleagues in the Bill Hall Trio are working hard to launch themselves in the music business. This is one of several return visits they paid to newly liberated Europe, as recorded in Volume 7 of the War Memoirs. Germany, number 1. Sure enough, there is no work. We all have phoned Leslie McDonnell. All he has for us is an Army Welfare Troop show tour. Oh Christ, back to that. I move back to Linden Gardens. Same room. The trio have to decide. A troop tour of Germany or bugger all? We all think bugger all a bad thing. In fact, none of us thinks much of bugger all. So it's to be a series of one-nighters in the fatherland. So here we are on an RAF converted Wellington bomber being flown to Berlin from Northolt. It's a small company. Ben Futz, a Polish juggler and or acrobat. Vico Wilson, a Liverpudlian comic. Eric Pruls, a pianist. Dennis Max Home, a comic. And Avis Trenchard, a singer. All about 30 and all about broke, but all very nice people and grateful for the tour. Our tour manager is an old queen, William Hodges. Now, he said as he came along the plain bench seats, we're all going to get on and maybe some of you will get off. Mind if I sit here? The pilot shouts, no smoking please till I do. Nothing makes you need a fag more, says Mulgrew. The plane's engines drown out conversation. Airborne, the navigator comes round with a large coffee flask with plastic cups. You can smoke now, he says. Ta, says Mulgrew, who already is. You're a naughty boy, said the navigator. No, sir, he's actually a naughty girl, but he had an operation, I said. Navigator laughs, spills coffee on Mulgrew. So sorry. After a deafening flight, we land at Tempelhof on the tarmac, all awaiting an AWS coach, onto which a sergeant directs us. Berlin looks grey. The city is war-torn, great chunks out of the Brandenburg Gate. We are driven to the Schönbrunn Hotel, or rather hostel. Endless traffic of civilians and soldiers. Each one seems due for an important critical meeting at which they will be killed. A jolly officer of 40 summers meets us. He is a living image of Neville Chamberlain, an artillery major, Tom Wells. Well, you're all very welcome. You'll all have separate rooms, but I'm afraid the bathrooms are communal. This is Corporal Harris. If you follow him, ba, 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 I go as we climb the stairs. I'm sorry the lift's not working. It was damaged in the war. RAF bombing. You mean that lift was put out of order by us, and that's why we're forced to use the stairs? The corporal laughed. You can put it that way. I can and I have. Fancy the RAF targeting lifts. All our rooms are nice, clean, stark, but for the bed there is no furniture, a wall cupboard and a sink. Hall comes in. Handy, the sink. I've just done me socks. He, this wretch, seemed in a constant battle with his socks and underwear. Night after night, he'd wash one or the other. There are times when he only washed one sock. Yes, one sock. And when asked why, he'd say almost with dignity, the other one doesn't need doing. We are gathered again by a corporal, Collins by name, and taken to lunch in a private room. We are waited on by ex-POWs in white jackets, and very good they are. I don't know, I said to Hall. I think I shot his uncle, and by the way he served food, I wish I had. I discovered my Kraut was at casino. So was I. We involuntarily shake hands. He speaks a smattering of Italian, so the conversation is: me combattere in casino, se ben mais. Casino molto nix good. Boom, boom. Ich, Royal Artillery, grossen Kanonen. Grossen nix gut. I say, grossen Kanonen, molto bono, per you. Me ich beinen Paratruppen. So he was one of the bastards that held us up for 16 months. Me, he went on, combattere in Castlefort. Castlefort? My God, we must have killed dozens of his uncles. My heavy battery rained shells on that village for 2 days. Mein Kanon, boom, boom, Castlefort, Zweitag. Oh, molto morto, mi amico. Mi dispiace, ma c'est la guerre. What you want to talk to these bastards for? Said Hall. 2 years ago, the bastard would have killed you. Agreed, but now he's serving me at table, and I got him running around me getting me seconds. He never dreamed from his little funk hole in casino that one day he'd be serving me apple pie mit der custard. The vicissitudes of war, you understand. It's a little bit ironic, don't you think? Like the time my mother and Mr. Oliver Goldsmith, not the famous author, but the jeweller in Wellington, New Zealand, took a bit of a shine to my mother, as men often did, and asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I said, at that time I was studying law, failing miserably, I might add, but I said I intended to be a lawyer. Wouldn't you like to join me in the jewellery profession, he said. I had no intention of such a thing. Right up until 6 years ago, I had no intention of such a thing. The irony is not lost on me there either. Anyway, there was my mother in full femme fatale fabulousness, flirting outrageously with the Orthodox Jewish New Zealand, had flown planes with the RAF, with the New Zealand division of the Air Force. He said, you know, Gisela, he said, we absolutely smashed Hamburg. She said, yes, I do know. Why are you even alive, Gisela? She said, I was billeted down in the south of Germany looking after civilian orphans. Is that how you swung it? He said. She said, yes, that's indeed the only reason I am alive. And then they both looked at me rather meaningfully, I might add. I was about 17 at the time. That's why you're here, Tanya. Yes. Cheers, thanks a lot for that, by the way. Anyway, Oliver absolutely really quite liked my sense of humour, my sense of philosophical wrangling with the void. He said, isn't it weird, he said, here I am, the natural predator and enemy of your mother's people, and here she is, the natural predator and enemy of mine, and here you are. I said, can you just forget about it right about now? It's too much for my brain to wrangle. And they both sat back and laughed and laughed and laughed. He said, you know, he said, I'd be up there in the bomber bay releasing the bombs and trying not to think of all the people that were about to get exploded upon. She said, you bastard. And then they leant back and laughed again, like it was the most normal conversation in all the world. Anyway, so there was something so twisted and distorted about that whole conversation, and also I could see my mother in full femme fatale conflagration. I had a feeling there was something very manipulative happening and that it was concerning me. So I acted very fey and very dumb indeed, and missed out on an apprenticeship as a jeweller when I was only 17, which would have actually been the making of me, by the way, since he was a diamond merchant and all. Probably would have set me up in a good little business. But his son, thankfully, was already engaged to someone else, so I was off the menu there. Honestly, I don't know what shenanigans were really going on behind all that. I really don't. But I remember vividly him saying to me during the course of that visit in his office, all very above board and kosher, although his wife kept coming in and poking her nose in the door and going out. She had the measure of my mother very well. She had my mother at hello. Anyway, I found that very amusing too. But anyway, during the course of our interview or visit, he pulls out his tallet bag, which is a beautiful velvet bag that we keep, Orthodox Jews keep our prayer shawls in. And he says, I hear you're converting to Judaism, Tanya Phillips, which was my maiden name. I said, I am indeed. Who told you that? He said, you know, a little mosquito might have nibbled on the bottom of my ear. I wouldn't let her nibble too much if I were you. Anyway, he laughed and he said, you know, he said, I live a very secular life, he said, but deep down, he said, I'm deeply religious still. I said, oh yeah, and how is that? And he pulls out his tallet bag and he says, I never go anywhere without my prayer shawl. I carry it, prayer shawl, tallet. He says, I carry my tallet everywhere I go. It's like a lucky charm for me. And my mother just beamed at him proudly, you know. It was actually quite sweet. I said, you know, I said, that's very sweet, but if you're not religious, what are you going to do with your prayer shawl if you're not praying in it? He said, the minute I decide I want to pray, it's there, right next to me. And it was indeed. He pulled it out and showed it to me. I was reasonably impressed. So, anyway, funny memories. Diamond merchants. Smashing, bombing New Zealand airmen. Smashing Hamburg, Germany. Well, you know, he says, every one I got, he said, I figured that's one more Jew still alive in this world. And my mother nodded and I nodded. We were totally in agreement about that. But she said, as my mother pointed out, dropping the phosphor bomb was a bridge too bloody far. Worst war crime on civilians ever committed, by the way. Right. So the moral of that story is war is hell, and I don't agree with any war, and I certainly don't support or endorse it. Right, on we go and on we go. We segued at apple pie mit der custard. Anyway, despite trying to kill me in Italy, he wants to know if he can take us to the night spots. Well, for my night spots I use Germaline, but we'll see. His name is Ernst Bohem. He knows places. The evening we are driven to do a concert in a drill hall for Remy. There's no stage. We perform at floor level, only the front row, see, except for the acrobats. It's a full-blooded soldier reaction with cries of "Get your knickers down, darlin'," for our singer, Miss Trenchard. She came off to cheers and tears. "I've never been so humiliated in my life. I want to go home." Now for the nightlife of Berlin, city of sausage, sin and Sally Bowles. So Ernst takes me to the Blauer Himmel, which means blue sky, which we have plenty of today. A cellar, but what a cellar! Just table, chairs and a stage. The demi-monde here, men done up as women, women done up as men, waitresses in short skirts with no knickers. We were the only normal ones there. "Wo bist du?" says a ravishing waitress, white-faced, coal eyes, red lips and a bare bum. "A pot of tea for two, please." "Tea nix." "Okay, a bottle of Moselle." "Ja, darling, una Mosella." "You like?" said Ernst. "Molto buono, ja." "Ja," he said, frothing at the mouth. He leered at everything that went past. There's a drag queen on the stage with a ridiculous act, with a whip, some soppy aporth from the audiences, standing on stage while she sings Ich schlage Bahnhof and cuts the buttons off the silly bugger till his clothes fall off. The audience are at that drunken animal stage when anything is suggestive. Uproarious laughter for things totally unfunny. Every joke was below the waist. "Oh, wunderbar," says the paratrooper from Casino. Mind you, it's a wondrous experience. I mean, Hitler didn't need to shoot himself to avoid the Russians. Believe me, if Hitler had seen this mess, he would have committed suicide long before. Now the main act, a busty, frowsy, over-made-up tart prances on and does a dance. She strips off, and then a man with white makeup and a long black mac does a sort of dance to piano and violin accompaniment. Then, whoosh, off flies the Black Mac with a dramatic chord from the piano. I cried with laughter. Then to the signature tune of Laurel and Hardy, he screws, complete with cymbal smashes. All through there are cries of encouragement in German. There were cries of encore, even Heil Hitler, so the male participant tried again, also with the ridiculous Laurel and Hardy tune. Not before he took a sip of water from a glass set on a table. A lot of fucking good that will do him, said Wretch Hall. What he needs is Guinness and oysters. I was by now unfit to talk. I thought it all too funny for words. Then, no. As the bloke starts to screw her again, there is an introduction on the piano, and she starts to sing Wien Rose, her voice shuddering on each thrust. No wonder they lost the war, said Hall. They was all fucked. Well, we saw the night out. There were more songs by homos and lesbians made up in fantastic makeup. Forget Liza Minnelli and Cabaret. We took a taxi back to the digs, and an old German porter let us in with enough grovelling to demand a tip. Dankeschön, mein Herren, ich nix Nazi, ich bin ein Demokrat. Lying bastard, said Bill. They were all fucking Nazis, otherwise they couldn't have kept going so long. We walk the stairs. Bloody RAF, said Mulgrew. So a night's sleep. The notice board on our other door, breakfast from 7:30 to 9 a.m. So at 5 to 9, we'll be there. 5 to 9, queue for breakfast. Yes, Hall slept well and his socks were dry by the morning. Major Wells moves among us. Jolly good show last night. Well, we catch a plane to Hanover this afternoon, do a show at the Opera House and fly back. Not much time to see much, said Hall. Well, I told him there wasn't much to see. It's like the Russians left it. I'd like to see Hitler's bunker, said Mulgrew. She's dead, I said. Anyway, it's in the Russian zone, so forget it. It was unbelievable that a man would let a city be razed before shooting himself. Had he shot himself a month earlier, we'd possibly be staying at a hotel. Oh, here we go. All on the coach, please answer your names, says a nameless sergeant. Next, the Dakota with bucket seats. Seat belts, shouts the pilot, and we are away over the ruined city. Somewhere below us is the male, water-supping actor, resting. Miss Avis Trenchard has not left us. She quite properly dried her tears and said, I'm not going to be put off by some rude soldiers. She is a darling 19-year-old girl, opera-trained. Dwaddy is in the Foreign Office. The girl is innocence itself and seems to trust me. You'll look after me, won't you, Spike? Of course. I'll look after her and fuck her, of course. Our Polish juggler, Ben Futz, is airsick. William Hodges has given him a nylon sock as a sick bag. I watch hypnotically as the sock becomes the shape of a foot. Looking out the window, I am also stunned at the bomb-damaged landscape. How did they hold out so long? Where did they go? There wasn't a building standing. Where did they make the Tiger tanks There's not a factory in sight, said smoke-shrouded Mulgrew. I've got it, I said. They made them in inch squares and posted them to the front. Fucking rubbish, says Hall. Shh, Bill, I whisper. Not in front of Miss Trenchard. I don't understand, says Wretch Hall. You can say kill out loud, but not fuck. I mean, she'd rather be fucked than killed, wouldn't she? Above the drone of the engines, I don't think Miss Trenchard can hear us. Seat belts, shouts the pilot, and fags out. We come down slowly. Oh, we're not going to crash, are we, Spike? Miss Trenchard clutches my arm. No, we're as safe as houses. Looking at the bombing below, there wasn't a house in sight. I told her flying wasn't dangerous. Crashing was dangerous. A very smooth landing, we all applaud. Thanks, says the pilot, but I'm taking you back, by which time... He twirled his wacko moustache. I'll have had a few. Someone is saying, anyone want to buy one nylon sock? Off the plane, no coach, but an Army 3-tonner is waiting. It's getting rougher all the time, I says. Schnozzle Durante. If things get worse, I'm complaining to Winston K. Churchill. Ha ha ha. I give up, says Mulgrew. Let me guess. W.C. Fields? You don't know a good impressionist when you see one. Mulgrew giggles. The Ritz brothers? A new sergeant appears. I'm Sergeant Watson. I'll be looking after you. If you just answer your names, he smiles. Sorry about this. As we answer our names, we clamber on the 3-tonner. Helping hands pull Miss Trenchard aboard. She lets out a little squeal of delight. Or was that me pushing her bottom? Sergeant Watson bolts up the tailboard across the tarmac. Hanover is the seat of the Hanoverian kings, I tell Miss Trenchard. Oh, really? I believe we're appearing in the Opera House. And what a magnificent one. Pure Baroque. The interior's like a palace. Now, if you'd all like to leave your props in your dressing rooms, just choose one, and laughed. There's 40 to choose from. I'll take 5, I said, slouching off like Groucho Marx. You see my dressing room, says Hall, who's chosen number 1. Come and have a look. Well, folks, the room was like a miniature ballroom. So on the polished marble surface, Hall deposits his carrier bag of props and, is that all? Giggles Hodges, our queen. There's one still in the laundry, says Hall. Come on, they're waiting to take us to. Hodges paused, struck a gay pose. He mouthed, Hotel Grand Holstein. Another Baroque but worn-down building, equally lavish in rooms, Mulgrew and I share. I avoid billeting with Wretch Hall, as I'm convinced every night after sock washing he becomes a werewolf. But we don't eat here. We go to the sergeant's mess for lunch. Oh, now, a coach, mit a German driver. I'll be leaving you here, says Sergeant Watson, and Adolf here will take over. Adolf is a compressed midget, all of 5 feet 5 inches. Wait a minute, that's taller than me. He's not a midget. Not really, not at 5'5". By the gods. Only a giant would think someone 5'5", a midget. I guess it's all relative, isn't it? He sits on a high cushion to drive and disappears behind the dashboard. When he declutches, as he disappears, we all shout, "Auf Wiedersehen, Adolf!" He keeps grim-faced and pours with sweat. Number 34, Re-Me Workshops. A sentry halts and checks Adolf's documents. We give the sentry, holy macaroni,